And that's the way it goes, ladies and gentlemen. Blue Jays, Yankees, surprise! Welcome to a very special beginning week of exciting content on Sports for Beginners. Blue Jays game recap, Yankees, Jays, Game 3 starts now. Welcome to Sports for Beginners. This is the show where I cover the Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Blue Jays, and take you on a journey through the world of sports. From the fans' perspective, here is your host, Scott McGregor. Let's have some fun. Hello, sports fans, baseball fans, Yankee fans, Blue Jay fans, football fans in general. My name is Scott, filling in for our host, Thomas McGregor of Blue Jays Game Recap. Welcome aboard. I am also the host of Weekly in Sports, a monthly show, part of Sports for Beginners, and you'll find out what else is to come over the course of this show. And of course, tomorrow, yours truly is back in the studio, back in the saddle for Bills Ravens on Bills postgame. But enough about that. It's time to get started with today's edition of Blue Jays Game Recap. Recapping the 4-3 win for the New York Yankees over your Toronto Blue Jays, Blue Jay fans. I'm going to turn my Buffalo cap backwards for the duration of this recap. We will bring back that cap momentarily. It's the final day of the final series between the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees. Managers, as always, include Aaron Boone and John Schneider. To quote that again, it will be Aaron Boone and John Schneider. Let's talk about the defensive alignment for Aaron Boone and John Schneider. But first, let's go to our meeting on the mound. In the series finale for the Blue Jays, they would go to Mad Max Scherzer, coming into the game with a 5-2 record. Aaron Boone and the Yankees would counter with Max Fried, who came into the game with a 15-5 record. So you got Max versus Max. Max Fried versus Max Scherzer. What about the lineup? Let's start with the hometown Yankees. Aaron Boone lines them up like this. Defensively, the outfield would consist of Trent Grisham in center field, who would lead off, Aaron Judge in right field, batting second, and in left field, also at the top of the order for the Yankees, it's Cody Bellinger. So Judge, Bellinger, and Grisham defensively in the outfield for the Yankees. In the infield, catching Max Fried would be number 28, Austin Wells, who would bat seventh. Playing shortstop and batting eighth is number 11, Anthony Volpe. At third base, it's Ryan McMahon. He would bat ninth. At second base, number 13, Jazz Chisholm Jr. would bat sixth. He is at second base. The designated hitter was Giancarlo Stanton. He would bat fifth. At first base and batting fourth, it would be Ben Rice. Alrighty, let's go to the Blue Jays order. But first, the Yankees order once again. Trent Grisham leading off, followed by Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Ben Rice, Giancarlo Stanton, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, and Ryan McMahon in the ninth spot. For the Blue Jays, in the outfield, out in right field, you would have George Springer. In left field, he bats eighth, but in left field, it would be number 38, Nathan Lukes. Number 3, Miles Straw in at center field would also bat ninth in the order. Let's go infield for the Blue Jays. In the infield, the third baseman is number 7, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. At first base, number 2, 6, and 7th in the lineup are Ty France, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Alejandro Kirk batting fourth and catching. Right behind him before the first baseman Ty France is my boy and Bills fan himself. He was playing at shortstop today, number 22. Give it up for Ernie Clement. And at second base, batting second, right behind George Springer and before the big boy, number 27, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who would bat third and play DH. The second baseman was number 36, Davis Schneider. So, to reiterate the Blue Jays order, but in order, George Springer leading off, followed by Davis Schneider, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Ernie Clement, Ty France, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, Nathan Lukes, and Miles Straw. Miles Straw batting ninth, Nathan Lukes batting eighth, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa bats seventh, Ty France bats eighth, Ernie batting fifth, Kirk batting fourth, Guerrero batting third, Schneider batting second, and George batting leadoff. In other words, batting first. The game finished at a final score of 4-3. Before we take the first of 3 quick timeouts, two will be a little long, but one is going to be a very quick one. Let's go to our line score, including our team comparison. For the Blue Jays, 3 runs on 8 hits, no errors. They left 6 men on base, stole 1 base in this game. They had 11 total base runners. For the Yankees, 4 runs on 3 hits, 2 errors. They left 4 men on base, picked up 2 stolen bases, had 7 men total on base, and 1 home run. Top performers of the game, we will touch on that after we get into our scoring, which, after this word from our good buddy Nick Blazewicz at Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time, we will get into our scoring inning by inning in terms of scoring, let you know who the winning pitcher was, as well as who received the save, and later we'll also reveal the top performer. I'll give you my player of the game, and we'll take a look at some of the final action from Sunday in the back half of our final segment, by also giving you a look at the American League standings update. Brought to you by on Blue Jays Talk. If you listen to Blue Jays Talk, Bet365. With Bet365, you can find out the odds on today's baseball games, today's football games, today's action in the NBA, and you can even make a bet while the game's still being played. 19 plus in Canada. Please play responsibly. Ontario only. Make a bet today with Bet365 to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Once again, that is not sponsoring our show, but that is what the American League Standings Update is brought to you by on Blue Jays Talk. Back after this word from our good buddy Nick Blazewicz of The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio, making your day brighter one song at a time. Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners and On the Ice and Behind the Benches continues after that word from Nick.
Sienna T Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down, nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on Sienna T Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on Sienna T Radio.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Blue Jays game recap. Scott McGregor here, stepping in for Thomas for Blue Jays game recap. But want to remind everybody that the following series, including the upcoming homestand that begins on Tuesday against the Astros for the Jays, will be part of a 2-episode event for Blue Jays Weekly Recap. Both of those episodes will be bonus episodes here on Sports for Beginners, and they also will air, so we didn't air the last one on the Ice and Behind the Benches, but we will air these 2 episodes of Blue Jays game recap, a Blue Jays weekly recap, I should say, on the ice and behind the benches. Anywho, when we last left, we talked about the managers. We talked about the meeting on the mound. We got into the line score. We went over the lineup defensively, including those who were DH and those who were catching. Max Scherzer, who started for the Blue Jays, and Max Fried, who started for the Yankees. Quick little thing here before we jump in to how it all went down and then who the winning and losing pitchers and save goes to for a pitcher. The Yankees, with that win, improved to 80 and 63. The Blue Jays go to 82 and 61, but they remain with the best record in baseball in the American League because the Tigers lost today. So the Tigers' record, as they were playing the Chicago White Sox, Tigers' record moving from 82 and 61 to 82 and 62. Speaking of their opponent, the White Sox, that record going to 55 and 89. They were now at 55 and 89, division and also out of the wild card, but perhaps they could finish strong, the White Sox. Are they having a good year by any means? No. Are they having a terrible year? Absolutely not. Is Baltimore having a terrible year? Debatable. Are the Rockies having a rough year? Absolutely. Anywho, let's keep it to game. So before we dive in, here are your winning and losing pitchers, as well as who got the save for the Yankees. No surprise, it's the save that went to David Bednar, who got the save in yesterday's ball game, which was a 3-1 Yankees win. David Bednar picked up save number 21 of the season. He picks up number 22 of the season. His record remains at 5-5. The winning pitcher for this game goes to Max Fried. His record improves from 15-5 to 16-5. He exits the game with an ERA 3.2, 3.02. Max Scherzer ERA coming out of the game 4.36. His record drops to 5-3. He came into the game with a record of 5-2. All right, top performers, player of the game coming up as projected by MLB, but I'll also provide you with my player of the game on both sides of the ball, the Yankees and the Jays. The American League standings update coming up in a break time, as well as a look at the action. But over the course of this next segment, which is on here, we're going to continue working on Yankees and Jays. So here's how it all went down. We start the game in the bottom of the first with a 3-run home run off the bat of Ben Rice, his third home run of the season. Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger score on Ben Rice, on Rice's 23rd homer of the season. Judge and Cody Bellinger score on the play. Yankees out to a 2-0 lead. I should say a 3-0 lead. Excuse me, it was a 3-run shot, not a 2-run shot. Top of inning number 2, we go. Isaiah Kiner for Lefa. A nice single on a ground ball into left field. Ernie Clement to third. Runners at the corners. Alejandro Kirk will score on the play. IKF at first. Ernie at third. 3-1 Yankees. Blue Jays on the board. Early, still in the inning. Nathan is able to score Ernie Clement on a sacrifice fly for Nathan Lukes. And wouldn't you know it, it's 3-2 Yankees. Top of 3 we go, as the Yankees are not able to do anything in the bottom of the second inning. Let's go top of 3. And a 33rd double of the season for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. drives in George Springer and also sends Davis Schneider to third base on the play. Davis was on first. Was he on first? You know what? Doesn't matter. Hey, you know what? It doesn't matter. The point is, Davis went to third. George scored on the play. We're in a 3-3 tie. Yankees 3, Blue Jays 3. Bottom of the third, Cody Bellinger, 24th double of the season, scores Aaron Judge. And there you have it, your final score of today's ball game. 4-3, the Yankees beat the Blue Jays to take the final series of the 2025 campaign. 2 out of 3 they will take. Blue Jay fans, I'm not going to say be, angry the Jays lost this series to the Yankees. We're going to talk about that more at the standings update. But be happy we took one in New York. Also remember, the Blue Jays swept the Yankees when the Jays played the Yankees hosts at Rogers Center. With this in mind, let's get into the top performers of the game and the player of the game. We'll get to the top performers first. No surprise, they're all Yankees, but I still thought, I understand Max was not happy with 4 1/3 in his innings of work, but hey, I thought Max was a little decent today. Was this a good start for him? Not really, but hey, I'll take 4 1/3. If the Jays were able to find a way to win that ball game against the Yankees today, perhaps Scherzer goes in a no decision. It was mentioned on the broadcast by Buck and Dan over the points of the game that the Blue Jays were finding ways to get the clutch big hit that would either take the lead, tie the game up, and ultimately win the ball game. They were not able to find ways to get that big hit to change the narrative and put the Yankees down and behind in terms of runs. But you know what? Max, I thought, played pretty well. Vladdy looked good, but he went 2 for 4 in the game. George musters a hit in 4 at-bats. Davis went 0 for 3. Barger with his only hit of the game, pinch hitting for Davis after the 0 for 3 start. Alejandro Kirk also 0 for 3. Ty France 0 for 4. Not a good game by Ty France. My top performers from the Blue Jays include Max Scherzer, who I thought pitched pretty well. 8 Ks in 4 innings of work, 4 1/3. I'll take that. His ERA, not quite where we want it to be, but hey, it is what it is. Also giving a shout out to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who went 2 for 4. And Nathan Lukes went 2 for 3. I'll give him some credit as well. MLB had this. The player of the game was Ben Rice. I humbly agree with that. But I actually think the player of the game should be the pitcher, Max Fried. I really do. He was pitching great in 7 innings of work. Yes, he gave up 3 earned runs. Yes, he gave up 6 hits. But the dude struck out 4 Blue Jays. Aaron Judge, Ben Rice. I kept saying, I said Brian. I meant to say Ben Rice. He was 1 for 4. He's a top performer. He should be a top performer of the game. 1 for 4 in the game, a home run, 3 RBIs, and a run scored. Judge 0 for 1, 3 walks, 2 runs scored, a stolen base for Judge as well. It is what it is. If I had it my way, I would have gone Max Fried, player of the game, also a top performer. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Just to double check here, Guerrero did go 2 for 4 in the game. I would have him number 2, and I would have Ben Rice number 3. I would split it amongst the Blue Jays and Yankees. I really would. But it is what it is. All right. What was the play of the game? You can let us know your thoughts for On the Ice and Behind the Benches, as well as Sports for Beginners, the show that I mainly host on this podcast, by sending an email to Sports for Beginners podcast 8231 at gmail.com. That's for Sports for Beginners. Or leave a comment on YouTube, leave a comment on Spotify. However your podcast platform works, leave your thoughts. We haven't been too active on our website, but we will make sure that we get on that when we are able to get everything in place. Like I have mentioned in previous shows that I've been hosting, we are not perfect when we're doing this, but we are working through the ins, the outs, the ifs, the buts, etc. With that being said, everybody's pretty much done by the time we get to what we're going to get to in just a few moments. But this is a reminder to catch me later on Dolphins postgame as I prepare for a brief before they kick off program coming your way following this show and Dolphins postgame. You'll get final thoughts ahead of Bills Ravens before, of course, Monday, Bills postgame, Sunday Night Football wraparound. All right, going to take a look at a couple of games, specifically those in the American League East before we take a break, and then we'll go over the entirety of it after the next commercial break, which is our last commercial break of the show. I'll add an additional one to give you an attendance record, and of course, who's next for New York and who's next for Toronto. You'll find out all of that in a segment time, but after this commercial break, more from a look around the MLB on a Sunday, a big Sunday in the NFL. With that being said, before we take the break, let's take a look at our final scores from the American League East so far for the games that are being played. Of course, you know the Blue Jays lose 4-3 to the Yankees. Elsewhere, the Orioles fell 5-2 to the Dodgers. The Guardians knock off the Rays at 2-1. And currently in play right now in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Red Sox and Diamondbacks are tied at 4 runs apiece. The rest of the finals so far, including more from Diamondbacks and Red Sox shortly, Blue Jays game recap on the ice and behind the benches, and Sports for Beginners continues in a moment.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout-outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
I wonder if I could make it. It's almost getting to 8 o'clock p.m., and I am still a few more steps away from home to get to my computer to listen to CNT Radio's Cosmopolitan Culture Club. The best of the best music from around the world. Can't wait. I think I made it. CNT Radio, making your day brighter, one song at a time.
Welcome back to Blue Jays Baseball, Blue Jays game recap on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. Thank you so much for being with us. Ravens, Bills coming up on Sunday Night Football, coming up momentarily on Sports for Beginners. I will be joining the Dolphins post-game show for a Bills versus Ravens before they kick off program. And then tomorrow, it's all about recapping Ravens Bills and getting you ready for the next week showdown for both Baltimore and the Bills. So with that being said, let's continue where we said we were going to go into. In case you missed it before the break, Guardians knock off the Rays 2-1. The Blue Jays fell 4-3 to the Yankees. Orioles, I should say not beat, they fell 5-2 to the Dodgers. Elsewhere around the league, the Mariners manhandle the Braves 10-2 the final between the Brewers and the Pirates. Pirates falling 10-2 to the Milwaukee Brewers. Reds play closer baseball. They knock off the Mets 3-2, the final there between the Reds and the Mets. Tigers fall 6-4 to the White Sox. Phillies dropped 5-4 to the Marlins. The Kansas City Royals fell 5-1 to the Minnesota Twins. And the St. Louis Cardinals picking up a 4-3 victory over the Giants. 6-3, the Cubs fall to the Nationals. Rangers on top of the Astros 4-2. 8-1, the Rockies fall to the Padres. And the Athletics have fallen to the Angels of Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels, 4-3. And that brings us to, as I mentioned before we even got to this point in the show, but on Blue Jays Talk, which is what the standings update is called. With Bet365, you could make bets on today's baseball games, and you can even make a bet while the game's still being played. Gambling problem? Call Connex Ontario. Create an account and make a bet today to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet. If you have questions or concerns about your gambling or somebody close to you, please contact your gambling partner by calling 1-865 It's Never Ordinary at Bet. So without further ado, it's time for our American League standings update. With the Blue Jays loss today and the Yankees win, the Yankees are 80-63, the Blue Jays are 82-61. The Red Sox, who are still playing, as we mentioned, with the Arizona Diamondbacks, they remain at 78-65. Tampa Bay Rays 71-72, and the Baltimore Orioles 66-77. Over in the wild card, if you want to look further, the Tigers a half a game behind the Blue Jays at 80-62, as the Blue Jays fell to 81-61. Going into play, the Blue Jays were a game up on the Tigers for first in the American League. Tigers were 82-61. They were actually half a game up on the Tigers at 82-60. The Jays were. Now it's 82-61 versus 82-62. 82-62. The Astros are 78-66. The Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners in the first wild card spot. Red Sox, as I mentioned, are 78-65. Yankees 80-63 with the win today. Mariners 75, I should say, and 68. In the hunt, Texas Rangers are at 74-70. Kansas City at 73-70. Right behind them, Cleveland at 72-70, Tampa Bay 71-72, Angels 67-76. The Athletics are 66-78, Minnesota 63-80, and the White Sox 55-89. Over in the National League, continuing on the update, the leaders in the National League are the Milwaukee Brewers at 89-55. They lead the NL Central. The NL West is being led by the Dodgers, very briefly, at 79-64. And the NL East leaders are the Philadelphia Phillies at 83-60. The wild card is the Cubs at 81-62. The Padres at 78-65. And the New York Mets at 76-67. In the wild card hunt, we have the Diamondbacks at 72-71. Also at that same record, 72-71, the San Francisco Giants and the Cincinnati Reds. The St. Louis Cardinals are 72-72. Now, of course, the Diamondbacks record could change if they're able to knock off the Red Sox. The Red Sox record will also change when the game is final. As we were speaking to you, it is 4-4 tie, top of the ninth in Arizona. But moving on, from St. Louis, we go to Miami. They are 66-77. Atlanta 64-79. Pittsburgh 64-80. The Nationals 58-84. And the Colorado Rockies 40-103. So there are very clear notes for those at the bottom of the barrel that they will not make the playoffs this year. They will miss the playoffs, but those in maybe, I don't think the Marlins or the Braves are going to make it, but between St. Louis, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and Arizona, they could make a case to make the postseason and maybe take over one of those 3 wild card spots in the National League that the Cubs, Padres, and Mets have. In the National League, the White Sox definitely not going to make it this year, I don't think. The Twins, yeah, I don't think that will happen either. Athletics, a lot's going to have to go right for them in these final games of the season. Baltimore, well, they played the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend coming up. Of course, the Jays are going to play the Astros first. I can see if things go Baltimore's way. I don't expect them to go Baltimore's way against Toronto, but if they do go Baltimore's way before they get to Toronto, before the Orioles come to Toronto, I can see them making a case to be a duel to the wild card. Angels, maybe. Rays, I don't think they will make it, but they are in a good spot. Cleveland, Kansas City, Texas, they're all in the hunt there for that wild card spot. Boston, New York, and of course, Seattle, they better be playing on their toes. I also like to keep an eye on the leaders, especially in the National League. But that'll do it for our update here. I will be on Dolphins postgame to bring you keys to the game. Know before they kick off, return show this week, unfortunately, because we are so close to the game. It's practically an hour, 20 minutes from now at start time. Football Night in America has actually begun its coverage at 7 Eastern. The game starts at 8:20 p.m. 7:20 p.m. Central. So we're just going to quickly take one more look at the action. Only one more game in play for baseball right now, and that is Red Sox and Diamondbacks. The Red Sox are now leading 6-4 in the top of the ninth with 2 out and a runner on second. So they have taken a 2-run lead on the Diamondbacks as we speak. We are going to take the additional timeout I mentioned and set you up for what you can expect as this triple play continues. Again, just a reminder, no before they kick off after Dolphins postgame, but the Dolphins and the Bills postgame shows will follow each other as I will be getting you set up on Dolphins postgame for Bills, Ravens, Allen versus Jackson. Unfortunately, this also means we will not hear from head coach Sean McDermott, but you know what? It's on Blue Jays game recap, but you know what? I think I'll make an exception on Blue Jays game recap for this one. So you'll hear from head coach Sean McDermott on facing the Baltimore Ravens as we close out Blue Jays game recap. Blue Jays, Yankees, attendance record is next. Play of the game also next. And who's next for the Yankees and the Jays? Back in 30 seconds after this from Broadcast Map on both platforms. Stay with us. Sean McDermott, today's attendance record from Blue Jays Yankees, and who's next for Yankees and Toronto? Find out when we return.
Looking for conversations on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams? Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners. These were. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Blue Jays game recap. This is the final Blue Jays game recap for the 2025 season. The upcoming series: Astros, Orioles, Royals, Red Sox, Tampa Bay in between Royals and Red Sox in a twosome Blue Jays weekly recap posted by yours truly, Scott McGregor. As you can see, I have my Bills hat turned back around to the Bills logo. Bills Mafia. I'm on time to be joining Thomas momentarily on Dolphins postgame. I'll do that after I wrap it up here. And speaking of wrapping things up, before we get to the attendance record and who's next for the Yankees and the Blue Jays, that game between the Diamondbacks and the Red Sox has gone final, and the Diamondbacks have fallen 7-4 to the Boston Red Sox. Baseball action is done. Are you surprised? I certainly am not. I guess it's because football is fast approaching, especially for the primetime game. Speaking of that, attendance record coming right up in moments, as well as who's next. But first, as promised, since we are not going to be able to get to it before we kick off on the Before They Kick Off show, because there won't be one this week for week one. We were so hoping it was going to happen, but it's not going to be in the cards this week. So we will hold it off till week number 3 when the Bills take on the Miami Dolphins under the lights. But right now, for your eyes only, Bills Mafia, here's Coach McDermott on Facing the Ravens before we wrap things up on this 4-3 Yankees win over the Jays. Here we go. Enjoy. Link will be provided in the description of this episode, as well as the episode containing the recap of Ravens Bills. You can catch the Sean McDermott show on Buffalo Bills YouTube. Here's the pre-recorded final thoughts with Steve Tasker and Bills coach Sean McDermott.
Match of the divisional playoff from last season. You were unbeaten at home last season, kicking off the final season of the current Highmark Stadium. Going to be a big emotional high point. How exciting is it going to be in front of the home crowd on that game in this season with everything that's in front of you?
Yeah, you know what Coach Levy always said. He's like, where else would you rather be? This is one of those, right? So not only is it the home opener, season opener, we're looking forward to it. We've got to make sure that we stay focused on what we've got to control and the job that we have to do on the field at the same time.
A couple of deep breaths on. Let's go. Yeah, right. 2023 NFL MVP Lamar Jackson. He ran her up to Josh this last year. He's an electrifying dual threat quarterback, just like your guy is, Josh. What are the biggest challenges about facing a player as dominant as Lamar can be?
Yeah, they're a great challenge as a team, very talented, all three phases. Lamar, right out of the gates here, is tough. He really is, because he not only can run with it, he can throw it, and now with throw comes the scrambling ability, extension of plays, combined with Derrick Henry, Dave Flowers, their tight end core. So they're a talented group.
So he's signed an extension, Derrick Henry, last year with the Ravens. After having a great year, they said, let's sign him up again. All pros. He seems to be getting better as he gets over 30. He had 1,900 yards last season. How hard is the game plan for a guy like Derrick Henry, particularly when you couple him with a quarterback like the guy we just put on?
It's a smart combination when you look at it. Derrick Henry forces you into an 8-man box to stop the run, and now all of a sudden they've got the ball getting thrown down the field with Lamar and their talented group of receivers, tight ends, what have you. So it's a good problem to have that they have. It's like, who's going to get the ball? And so it makes for a tough day defensively.
All right. Well, good luck this week against the Ravens. We'll catch up with you next week.
Yes, indeed, they will catch up next week when the Buffalo Bills take on the, spoiler alert, 0-1 New York Jets. What was the final score? Check out Dolphins postgame or check out Bills postgame. The Bills-Ravens game goes final because we're going to talk about it. But I'll just tell you this. That game looked like it could go either way, and it did. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to the attendance record, last thing we will do. Who's next? Well, the Blue Jays begin the first of their two final homestand games. Can you believe it? One more road trip and then one more homestand before playoffs if the Jays stay where they are and specifically playing in October baseball. How quickly does the year go by? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Blue Jays will open a series with the Houston Astros, where they will face the 78 and 66 Astros. They will then open a weekend series against the Baltimore Orioles. But here are the men that the Blue Jays will face when the Astros come into town. First up, Astros are going, as probable, they are going with Luis Garcia, who will get the opener. What about Wednesday? Big games on the schedule on Wednesday. We don't have Wednesday or Thursday, but we do know that Luis Garcia will get the met for the Astros on Tuesday night. Blue Jays will then wrap up the homestand that they are going to start on Tuesday, which is this Tuesday, with a 3-game set with the Baltimore Orioles, beginning with City Connect night at the ballpark. And then, of course, the next time the Jays are home, they will take on both Tampa Bay and the Boston Red Sox. Speaking of Tampa Bay, they will take on Tampa Bay before they take on the Red Sox and the Royals on the road. They will also take on the Red Sox after they take on the Royals, just to be clear. Meanwhile, for the Yankees, the rest of the September schedule for the Yankees goes out like this. They are currently in a 6-game homestand. They will continue that tomorrow with Detroit coming into town. Then they will hit the road for a 9-game road trip where they will go to Boston next weekend, Minnesota the following week, and Baltimore the next weekend, which is a 4-game set. They will take on Boston for 3 starting this coming weekend, Minnesota next week on Monday, and of course, Baltimore the following weekend. Then they wrap it up with the White Sox and the Orioles. Programming note for MLB fans, in case you have forgotten, all games will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the final day of the regular season, Sunday, October 28, 2025, will be at 3 p.m. Eastern. Going back to the series that follows this series, the Yankees will open up a 3-game set on Tuesday against Detroit, where Will Warren is expected to take the ball against Casey Mize. I'm going to go with KCM. Sorry, Casey, if I pronounced your last name wrong. I apologize. Will Warren will go for the Yankees. In game number 2, I'll just bring up game number 2 now also for the Yankees of that Tigers. It will be for the Tigers against Carlos Rondon. They only have the Yankees probable here on MLB's app. That is Cam Schittler, who will get the start against Detroit. So who's got Detroit's 3rd game of the series against New York? I'm sure we'll find out in due time. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for the final edition of the season for 2025 of Blue Jays Game Recap here on the Ice and Behind the Benches and Sports for Beginners. Blue Jays Weekly Recap has you covered the rest of the way. I will be with you for all of it. A twosome. Couple of thoughts from this series, the Yankees and the Blue Jays, and thoughts from Astros and Orioles in Toronto coming up on the next Blue Jays Weekly Recap. And of course, in the second of this twosome, we will talk Rays Royals and Rays Red Sox. A road trip and a homestand, all covered on these last 2 bonus editions of Blue Jays Weekly Recap, which will close us out for the 2025 regular season. My name is Scott McGregor. Before we sign off, just before I forget, I promised you the attendance record, so here we go. Today's attendance record at the Bronx Yankees Stadium, 43,266 fans in attendance. First pitch flew just a few moments after 1:35 p.m. Eastern. At 1:38 p.m. Eastern, and took 2 hours and 35 minutes to complete. Once again, the attendance record, 43,266 fans in attendance. Yankees take 2 out of 3, winning the final game of the series, 4-3-year final. They will start a series with Detroit on Tuesday. Blue Jays will start a series with the Astros on Tuesday as well. Thank you so much for being with us for Blue Jays game recap. Blue Jays weekly recap has you the rest of the way for the 2025 season. Will the Blue Jays make the playoffs? And if so, will they play in the wild card? Or will they get the bye? All that remains to be seen, and all of it will be answered over the course of the next 2 Blue Jays weekly recaps, which take over Blue Jays game recap. My name is Scott McGregor. Please call me Scott. Bills Mafia. Stick around on Monday for Bills postgame, and stick around now on Dolphins postgame because guess what? I'm on my way to the studio. See you there for my keys to the game. You don't want to miss it. Blue Jays lose it 4-3 to the Yankees. That is it for Yankees Blue Jays baseball until playoffs, probably, and for the 2025 season, as far as the regular season is concerned. Once again, the records going into the series against Houston, the Blue Jays are 82-61. And for the series for the Yankees going into their series with Detroit, they are 80-63. We'll catch you on the flip side. But always remember, Blue Jays fans, lights up. Let's go, Blue Jays. I'll catch you on the flip side. Thank you so much for listening to Sports for Beginners. If you would like to learn more about the show, you can visit the podcast Facebook page or visit the official website. You can also send us an email at sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. As we always remind you, it is not goodbye, it is until next time.